Tēnā koutou katoa mā loilelei. It is Tuesday the 15th of March and the House will sit today from 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. tonight. Assalamu alaikum. Today, as we mark the third anniversary of the March 15th terrorist attacks in Christchurch, the House of Parliament will commence with a government motion in the name of our Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, acknowledging this anniversary and the 51 shaheed who unfortunately lost their lives on March 15th mosque shootings. In the aftermath of the attacks, New Zealand and the world were inspired by the strength and the resolve of our Muslim community, who in the face of unspeakable grief decided to respond from a place of aroha and love, and not from a place of anger and fear. 3 years on, Muslim communities across Aotearoa New Zealand continue to inspire us with their aroha and generosity. Let us not leave our Muslim brothers and sisters to shoulder this burden alone, and it would be great if we continue to show the support that we so publicly expressed in the days following March the 15th. Following this, we will move on to oral questions to ministers. Question 1 is from Christopher Luxon to the Prime Minister. It is a general question asking, does she stand by all of her statements and actions? Question 2 is from Barbara Edmonds to the Minister of Finance on the New Zealand economy. Question 3 is from Honourable Simon Bridges to the Minister of Finance on the cost of living. Question 4 is from Angie Warren-Clark to the Minister of Energy and Resources on the 25-cent reduction in fuel and excise duty road user charges. Question 5 is from David Seymour to the Prime Minister, a general question asking if she stands by her statements and actions. Question 6 is from Maya Lubeck to the Minister of Education on training and apprenticeships. Question 7 is from Ricardo Menendez-March to the Minister of Transport on public transport. Question 8 is from Rachel Brooking to the Minister of the Environment on recycling in New Zealand. Question 9 is from Simeon Brown to the Minister of Transport on the government transport spending. Question 10 is from Arana Williams to the Associate Minister of Health, Māori Health, on the interim Māori Health Authority. Question 11 is from Simon Watts to the Minister for Local Development on the Three Waters reform. Question 12 is from Shannon Halbert to the Minister of Transport on public transport. We then move on to the bills that are going to be introduced this afternoon. The first is the Ngāti Rangitihi Claims Settlement Bill. This will go through a committee stage and then third reading. Then we move on to the COVID-19 Response Court Safety Legislation Bill. This is a single broad policy on this omnibus bill to support the safe and effective operation of courts and tribunals by making amendments to reduce the risk of transmission of COVID-19 among those who use it to visit the courts or carry out work at the courts. The next legislation is the Taxation Annual Rates for 2021 to 22 GST and Remedial Matters Bill by Honourable David Parker. This omnibus bill contains taxation amendments aimed at settling the annual rates of income tax for the year 2021 to 2022 tax year. Then we look at the Māori Commercial Aquaculture Claim Settlement Amendment Bill, again by the same Minister, the Honourable David Parker. The objective of this bill is to improve the allocation and transfer process provided in the Māori Commercial Aquaculture Claim Settlements Act of 2004 to better enable the allocation and transfer of aquaculture settlement assets to iwi. Then we move on to the Commerce Amendment Bill. This is the third reading, led by the Honourable David Clark. This bill amends the Commerce Act 1986 to strengthen the prohibition against misuse of market power and make other changes to improve the functioning of the Act. And if we have time, we'll then move on to the Protected Disclosures Protection of Whistleblowers Bill, third reading, led by the Honourable Chris Hipkins. This bill replaces the Protected Disclosures Act of 2000 and clarifies the definition of serious wrongdoing, enables people to report serious wrongdoing directly to an appropriate authority at any time. Malo apito, kia ora koutou katoa.